Hey guys, let's get more news about Warriors, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Kuminga's stellar development key to Warriors' playoff hopes. There are a number of factors the Warriors can point to for why they feel so confident about continuing their surge up the Western Conference ranks. The list starts, obviously, with having Stephen Curry running the ship. Chris Paul's return Tuesday night is up near the top, as was getting Draymond Green back from his second NBA suspension and Klay Thompson making a very smooth transition to his new sixth-man role. Jonathan Kuminga's development over the past 2 months can't be overlooked either. A major question mark coming into the season because of his inconsistencies, JK has developed into a reliable and consistent scorer, a player capable of dominating at will in the paint, and one who has found a comfortable place in the Warriors' starting lineup. Tuesday's 123-112 road win over the Washington Wizards was a perfect example. While Thompson was putting together another solid game and Paul was masterfully piloting the Warriors' second unit, Kuminga had a quiet but very efficient night. The 21-year-old had 21 points to go with 6 rebounds and 5 assists in 28 minutes, finishing as a +10. It was the 14th 20-point game of the 2023-24 NBA season for Kuminga, who has tallied double figures in 36 of his last 37 games. The only exception came last Friday when Kuminga was held to 6 points after shooting only 2 of 9 from the field. As usual, Kuminga made a handful of highlight plays. One of the most entertaining was when he capped a fast break by taking a behind-the-back pass from Gary Payton II, then ending the possession with an emphatic jam. Maybe more impressive were the 5 dimes Kuminga dished out. It's the second time in the last 3 games and the 6th time overall that he has had 5 or more assists during the 2023-24 season. Golden State's flashy forward worked very efficiently in the paint while shooting 10 of 13. All but 4 of his points came inside the key, where Kuminga has developed into one of the toughest defensive assignments for opponents. It marked the third-best shooting percentage, 76.9, by Kuminga this season in games where he has taken at least 10 shots. Part of Kuminga's turnaround this season has come with his decision to attack more, rather than settling for mid-range or deep shots. Through Golden State's first 20 games this season, Kuminga had 9 games where he tried 3 or more three-pointers. He didn't attempt one against the Wizards, the 7th time in his last 8 games where Kuminga mostly has shunned shooting beyond the arc in favor of driving the lane. Kuminga's development has caused a ripple effect on defenses. Some teams are trying to crowd the lane and bunch it up to prevent his diabolical drives to the rim, while others, fearful of abandoning defensive assignments on other Warriors, seem willing to live with the price of leaving him open. That price seems to be getting more and more costly with each game. Leaving Kuminga alone in the past might have worked, but opponents are paying the price now. For Golden State to keep on moving up, Kuminga must continue being a big part of that. Speaking about the overall team in general after Tuesday's win, Klay Thompson said, "We still have another level to get to, and it's going to take everybody's best effort." That's what the Warriors have been getting from Kuminga for some time now, dating back to when he became a regular member of Golden State's starting rotation. If that trend continues, there's no doubting how far the Warriors can go. Steve Kerr opens up on Chris Paul's impact on the Warriors after returning from injury. Chris Paul played in his first game since January 5 in the Warriors' 123-112 win over the Wizards tonight. After an impactful stint off the bench, Warriors head coach Steve Kerr shared his true feelings on how he thinks Paul impacts the team positively. "We've been playing pretty well over the last month or so. We've been looking forward to getting Chris back, and you can see why tonight. We handle things better with Chris, he's such a good point guard. Always knows exactly what's happening in the game and what's needed from him. It's great to have him back." Kerr also discussed Paul's positive impact in the win over Washington. "He was a +17 in 21 minutes. Always in control of the game. I think the way we closed the third quarter was important, he was at the helm. He found JK for a lob and we got a stop, and got the last shot of the quarter. Paul had as solid of a return as he could have hoped for within his role on the Warriors. He played just 21 minutes but scored 9 points, all through made threes. He also had 4 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals, overall impacting the game positively. As Kerr mentioned, he ended the night as a plus 17 in just 21 minutes. CP3 is averaging 8.9 points, 3.8 rebounds, and 7.2 assists this season. The box score isn't where he's impacting the game, as his on-court presence has given the Warriors some much-needed bench stability. With their various combination of lineups featuring veterans and young stars, Paul is the connector piece that could tie it all together and make the Warriors embark on a push for the 6th seed. Chris Paul is on a $30.8 million contract for this season with a $30 million team option for next year. The chances that the Warriors pick up that hefty contract for a bench player is extremely slim. But if Paul doesn't want to find himself competing for non-tax mid-level exceptions or taking a discount to return to the Warriors, he needs to have as strong an end to the season as possible. If the Warriors make a playoff run and Paul is an impactful bench player in that, there's no questioning his future in the NBA. If he makes a tangible impact on winning, cap-space teams like the Pistons may just throw a massive one-year contract at him to have his leadership impact the franchise positively. Given their coach is Monty Williams, who has excelled with coaching Paul twice before, it's a fit that makes sense. Even if the Warriors bring CP3 back, it'll likely be on a small contract given the luxury tax situation they're in. They don't have the disposable wealth to throw at CP3 like they would have in the past. But with Klay Thompson expected to either leave or stay on a discount, maybe Golden State can shake the coffers to keep this veteran group together for another season. Paul is a legendary point guard with a lot to offer in the NBA despite nearing 40 years old. That makes paying him this summer risky, but he can change that perception if he earns it on the court this season. For NBA analyst, Heat should trade Jimmy Butler. NBA analyst Kendrick Perkins said the Miami Heat should trade star Jimmy Butler. During his appearance on ESPN's Zach Lowe's podcast, the former center commented on the bad phase of the league's current runner-up. The Heat have lost the last 7 games and are only 7th in the Eastern Conference. In other words, it is in the play-in zone. For Perkins, Heat and Jimmy Butler should follow different paths, as they have no chance of winning the NBA in 2023-24. 7 months ago, the winger led the Florida team on a surprising run into the postseason. Against all odds, Miami reached the finals. However, the team fell to the Denver Nuggets in a 5-game series. But, according to the commentator, Butler will never lead the Heat to the title. Therefore, the most logical option, according to Perkins, is an exchange involving the 34-year-old star. Thus, the former pivot defends a change of direction in the team. Perkins thinks the franchise should rebuild the team around the quartet of Bam Adebayo, Tyler Herro, Jamie Jaquez, and Terry Rozier. Miami has lost 7 straight games. So I think it's time for the Heat and Jimmy to part ways. So I think the Miami Heat need to do right by Jimmy Butler and send him to a legitimate NBA title contender. It's time for the Heat to start rebuilding their culture with youth. And that's not a bad thing. I just don't know how much is left of playoff Jimmy. After all, he is 34 years old, has a lot of minutes and a lot of wear and tear on his body. Anyway, I just don't see the Miami Heat as a title contender this season, concluded Perkins. Last month, Jimmy Butler said clearly that the Heat's NBA season is mediocre. The comment came after a home loss to the Indiana Pacers. We are exactly where we don't want to be, which is very mediocre. Not good, not bad, just mediocre. You talk about our offense, it's been mediocre. You talk about our defense, it has also been mediocre, roared the number 22. However, in the last 4 campaigns, the Heat have taken the regular season on the back burner. With the exception of 2021/22, when it was the leader of the East, in the other three it was not even in the top four. In fact, in 2022/23, the team was seventh in the conference. In other words, the same position he currently occupies. But under the leadership of Jimmy Butler, the Heat often make a comeback in the NBA postseason. After all, the team reached two league decisions during this period, 2020 and 2022. Therefore, the expectation of the team's fans is that history will repeat itself in 2024. With the aim of strengthening itself in the short and medium term, the Heat completed a trade last week. He gave up veteran Kyle Lowry and brought in point guard Terry Rozier, who had been playing well for the Charlotte Hornets. But so far, the team continues to play well. After all, there have been 4 consecutive defeats since Rozier's arrival. Finally, Butler has a contract with the Heat until 2026. During that period, he will receive $146.4 million in salary. However, the star has the option to become an unrestricted free agent in next year's offseason. After he recovered from surgery, the Warriors already expressed interest in hiring Jimmy Butler. And you, fan, what do you think of the situation Jimmy Butler? Leave your opinion in the comments.